people, we're back. We're back. I know we have once again had a little bit of a hiatus. We've been gone for a while, but a lot's gone on in our personal lives. I was away in London yesterday doing some stuff with the Big Six channel. For those of you who watch the Big Six or you come from over there, we've got some cool stuff in the pipeline, so keep an eye out for that. We've made some pretty cool content and got some cool things ready for you to see. That's what I've been doing. The lads have been working. There's been no City. We're not big fans of international football massively anyway, so... And there's not been a huge amount going on, but we decided we'd come on tonight and cover what has gone on essentially over the last week. I'm sure plenty of you are more than aware of what has gone on in the world of Manchester City Football Club in the last week, but it's only right that we come on and give our thoughts. So as always, all of you, please do get involved down below in the chat. Let us know your thoughts. We're going to talk about Pep. That's probably the most exciting one, I think. As a City fan, the man we want to stay the most is not Haaland, it's not De Bruyne, it's not anybody, it's Pep Guardiola. We need him. He is the catalyst to everything we do. We're going to talk about Jude Bellingham. We're going to talk about that Leao guy from AC Milan. I'll be honest, I don't know a huge amount about him, but the lads do, and we'll get into all that. So all of you, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get involved in the chat down below, and I'll read out what you guys are saying. As always, these streams are very much for you to get involved in as much as they are for us to talk about. We like you to say your piece, because it's always interesting to get other perspectives. So, yeah, do that. Lads, how have we both been? It's been a while since the three of us spoke together in general.
Yeah, it's fucking, like, what? We're about back in college. No football. No real, I don't say no real football. No fucking entertaining football for us, and anyway, because I've been watching Ireland. So...
Ireland are playing good football, man. Ireland are
playing good football in the sense that we've been so deprived of any football ability for about 10 years now that we're finally playing alright football that we can go and look at and say that we're enjoying it. But Jesus Christ, that Scottish match was a trick.
I don't even want to talk about that game.
We'll leave it. We'll forget about that. It's a City channel.
Joe, B-Moons, my boy, how have you been?
Very bored. I've been watching but not watching England at the same time. I watched the Italy game because it actually meant something. I wish I didn't. I didn't watch the Germany game tonight because I just couldn't be asked, quite frankly. My feelings are quite public on the situation over there, so I don't really want to dwell on international football. It's boring. Stones is a casualty. That's very, very depressing. I'm not really a fan of international football.
I want to talk about Kyle Walker, by the way. Sorry for cutting across you, but there's a conversation to be had about Kyle Walker on this stream as well. I'm not impressed with that guy right now. We'll get into all that, but I'm not impressed with him right now. I'm quite unhappy with what Kyle Walker's done. But yeah, listen, I echo everything Joe says. The international football does not really appeal to the three of us. But listen, City are back. As far as I'm concerned, in my head, they are back. This is the beginning of Derby week. This is the beginning of the week where we thump the rags once again. I'm fully confident. I'm fully confident that we will go out and absolutely smash Man United this Sunday. I just think there's levels to this game, and they are not on our level. But listen, like I said, it's a big week of content. We're going to do plenty of streaming. We're going to do a full preview with a Man United fan teaser. I have asked Saeed to come onto the channel and do a preview with us on Thursday. We'll see what he says. He hasn't got back to me yet, so if he says yes, it'll be a collaboration that to look forward to. He's always good to have on the channel. He's been on before. We may do another preview with a City fan. I may ask one of the City extra lads, whatever you guys want to see. If there's anybody in particular you want to see on, I can shoot a text and hopefully make it happen. This is Derby week. We want to make the most of it. We want to enjoy it. We always get nervous, but like I said, a lot to look forward to. But today's stream is a bit of just a catch up. You guys in the chat, there's nearly 20 of you there. Make sure you've all hit the like button and subscribed. You can ask us questions. We're going to talk about what's gone on in the week of City over the last 10 days or so anyway. And you guys can get in your thoughts as well. But listen, I think the best place to start, people, is with Pep Guardiola. Now, Pep is obviously in his final season at Manchester City, and he's someone that we have all, I think, done videos on together or in whatever combinations we've done it before about his future. We did one video a long time ago, Joe, do you remember? That's on over 10,000 views.
I made the thumbnail, my ad.
That was big views, but yeah, listen, Pep, the news about Pep is obviously the main thing that has gone on the last week. The rumour is that Pep is going to extend at Manchester City. Now, please forgive me, people, I do not have the sources on me right now. It's very much paper talk, but with these big transfers and contract extensions and anything that goes on, in terms of players and managers moving clubs or staying at clubs, it all starts off as paper talk, doesn't it? You have to get the ball rolling, and then it becomes a snowball effect, and all of a sudden, he's putting pen to paper, and he's doing a decade at City. They're saying 3 years, which will mean he will have completed 10 years at Manchester City Football Club if this is to be true. Now listen, I said it on a stream, I think, with Joe more recently. I said by the time Pep leaves, I think we will have seen a decade of Pep Guardiola. And now it's starting to possibly come into fruition. We're now looking at the real possibility of having seen 10 years of Pep Guardiola, in my opinion, the greatest manager of all time. And people will say, what about Ferguson? What about Wenger? And I'll never discredit or argue against that, because I can understand why people would like those managers more. But for me, Pep has just revolutionized the game so many times. He's done it at multiple clubs, and yeah, no, he's not won the Champions League at City. But you guys know, if you're real football watchers and you understand football, and you have for a long time, you'll know Pep Guardiola's effect and how he has influenced world football so many times over the last number of years. So for me, he's the best manager in the world, and possibly, or I think, of all time. And for us to have seen 10 years of him, Joe, you can start off, man, would be just sensational. And he, like I said at the start of the stream, he is the main key at this club. Not Haaland, Aguero wasn't, De Bruyne isn't. Pep Guardiola is the key to success at this club. It's not what players we have, it's what manager we have, and he is that guy.
Well, the manager links to the players because he's got his own pull. Like, with you look at Haaland, I mean...
But you know what I mean? If we have the exact same squad and Gareth Southgate... Nah.
Don't get me fucking started.
Don't fucking start.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's coming. It's coming. It's not going to get done soon, though. I think we have to just be a little bit patient. Well, it might be done, but... I mean, we're going to have to wait until after that World Cup, because he's said on interviews before that, you know, after that World Cup is when he's going to decide. And I think it's going to get done, to be honest. I don't see a world in which he doesn't sign. I don't know why he wouldn't sign, to be honest. Like, even if, you know, we'll move further on in the stream later on and talk about players that we might be signing in the future. Why would he be going and signing players for the future if he's not going to stay? Like, why is it? What's he planning for? The next guy? I don't even think City are even searching for the next guy yet, because they are so adamant that he's going to stay on for at least another couple of years. I think it will be a decade. I think it'll be 3 years. I'm not too sure what happens after that, because this will be the longest stint he's done at one club in his managerial career. So I genuinely wouldn't know what's to come next, but that's a problem to worry about in the future. Right now, all you've got to think about is dominance, continued dominance, like with him here, who realistically is going to stop us. We've been, you know, apart from his first season, which was sort of the transition from you know, the old guard to signing all the new players in his second season. You know, we've only been stopped once, and that's really because we shot ourselves in the foot with the whole centre half situation. So realistically, the only team that has stopped us domestically is ourselves. While Pep's been here, so it's dominance. It's not good for the rest of the Premier League, the rest of the challenges, and no, I want it to keep that way. I'm enjoying winning. I mean, I don't know who wouldn't be enjoying winning. Of course, this whole narrative of the Champions League still exists. I think a lot of us have moved past that now. We don't really seem to care that much. Nice to win it, but in my opinion, I'm not really asked, to be honest. If we win the Premier League every year, so be it. I'm not going to cry.
That, you know, we got some stick for sharing that opinion a couple of weeks ago, Joe, didn't we? Where we said, you know, we always want the Premier League more so than the Champions League. And I said that in the Big Six recently. I was like, for me, when the Champions League comes, it comes, great course. I'll be absolutely over the moon with that. But I want the Premier League every season. And some people were like, nah, you got to want the Champions League. It's more prestigious and that kind of thing. And I understand everybody's got different opinions and everyone feels differently about the competitions. But you're right. For me, it's the Premier League. And Pep is the catalyst. He's the key to us winning that every season. And when the kind of rumours started to come out there last week, I think it was the middle of last week, about Wednesday, Thursday, whatever it was, that Pep is potentially going to sign a 3-year extension. I imagine all the rival fans, you know, like the Liverpool's and even United fans who possibly feel like they're onto a bit of momentum here, or they're possibly on the up with Ten Hag and things are looking a bit better. You know, Chelsea with Bowley or whatever, they're all going, oh, fuck's sake, when are we going to see the back of this guy? Like, when?
4-3, man.
Yeah, when are we going to see the back of Pep Guardiola? Because it's becoming, or as time has gone on, it's just becoming more and more clear that there's nobody on his level. There's nobody on his level. You can't outthink him. You can't outdo him. It doesn't matter what players he has. No striker, no problem. No centre half, no problem. No leader, no problem. And you're right. Like the only people that can stop us is ourselves. And we saw that the year Liverpool did win the league. Why? Like, I'm not even being salty about it, but it was because of a complete collapse on our part. Aguero was as he was, always injured. No Vincent Kompany, we never replaced him.
No
and Pep
what? No centre halves.
Yeah, no centre halves. We were playing, what was it? Fernandinho. Fernandinho and Nicolas Otamendi at centre half was an absolute recipe for disaster. And then Pep was also doing these crazy tactical decisions that we'd never seen before, playing the double pivot in Rodri and Gundo at the time, and that wasn't working. But then when he fixed that and got back to his best, when Pep is at his best and he has what works and he finds what works for him, you can't stop him, man. You really can't stop him. And like I said, if I was a rival fan right now, I'd be like, fuck's sake, when am I going to see the back of this guy? Revel, before I ask you your thoughts, I'll just see what people are saying really, really quickly. John says, nah, Sir Alex is clear. Nah, Sir Alex, I don't know, he's not clear now, but it's definitely a good conversation. And I think if we win the league again this year and he wins one Champions League, there's real conversation there then for who is better. Rust Beard says it makes sense after signing Haaland. Exactly, and I think that's a good point, which I think you've said to me before, Rebel, that why would Haaland sign a 5-year contract at Manchester City unless he had personal reassurance from Pep that Pep was going to extend further? Why would Haaland come for 5 years for Pep to just be like, after 12 months, all right, see you later, mate.
Go on.
Yeah, I'm off. It's been nice managing you. No, Haaland signed that contract. His primary pull, the primary pull that we have at the club, and for Haaland specifically, was to play under Pep Guardiola. He wanted reassurance from the club and Pep that he's staying. That was the first sign we got, and I think we all kind of knew when we signed Haaland. Subconsciously, we were all like, yeah, that kind of means a Pep extension. That does kind of mean a Pep extension. Luke says, Hugh, could you ask both Lewis and Jordan from City Extra? I could. I was definitely going to ask at least one of them to do maybe a more City-based preview for the derby, but I can see what they're both doing. I don't see why not. We've had them both on the channel before, and they're good friends of the channel as well. We get on well with them, so I'm sure if they're up for it, I don't see why not. Patrick Gannon, yes, man. Pat, good to see you, my friend. Clinical says, I would love to see Pep hit 10 years here, fitting for our greatest ever manager. Pep is, right now, regardless of whether he extends. Pep is the greatest ever manager of Manchester City Football Club. Obviously, Mancini kind of pushed the boundaries and broke the barriers and got us to that level of Premier League champions. But in terms of consistency and what he's brought to the club, trophies, success, good times, feel-good factor, memories, you name it, Pep is the greatest ever manager. And a conversation I want to have after you give your thoughts about the 3 years thing is statue territory. I think that's one worth getting into. Russ says, if he signs for another 3 years, I think we'll get a treble, including the Champions League, or be the first team to do the quad and possibly an invincible season in the Premier League, if not both, which would make him the best. That is, it's unthinkable, those kind of achievements, Rust. I mean, is it possible? If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Pep with this squad of players. That's all I'll say. Can we do it? I wouldn't think so, but if anybody's going to do it, it's Pep. It's Pep. Listen, you're all getting your thoughts in. Luke has a super chat here as well. Thank you very much for the super chat. We really appreciate the super chats as always. Luke, hope you're good as well, my friend. He said, enjoyed a bit of Southgate ball tonight. Now kicking back with a beer and enjoying the Best City channel on YouTube. Facts City. That is facts. Well, I don't think it's facts.
What's that match finish?
3 each. Kai Havertz scored an equaliser.
So they were 2-0 down, and then Sam Maguire was shit in the bed. So I was like, right, that's done.
Yeah, well, listen, Dale says MCFC, the Prem, every day of the week, Dublin, Ireland. Yeah, listen, everybody, if you're City fans, you will all agree that we want Pep to extend, and it's looking like it. Revel, 10 years of Pep, should this happen?
When we put up something about Pep extension, a couple of people were talking about other things that we're extending. It is truly fantastic. It is fucking, like, again, I think you said that, I said it, we all said this. Yeah, Haaland's not signing for 5 years if Pep's only staying the 1 year. It's done, I think. I think it's been done for ages. I mean, it's all these press conference kind of this press conference quotes have come out where it's like, I'm in the best place I can be. There's nowhere better than City. That's what Pep said. There is nowhere better than City.
From the horse's mouth.
From the horse's mouth. From the baldy horse's mouth. He's staying. I tell you what, if he doesn't stay, there's only some. Any forfeit ideas if he doesn't stay? Delete the entire channel. Delete the entire channel. Bin it. He will stay. I love it. I'm in love with that little bald man's head. I'm just in love with everything he brings great football, brings great players, a shiny head, some nice clothes, and Rodolfo Borrell. So I'm happy.
He's also building, isn't he, Pep? He's building for the future, and he has been for the last year or two. I mean, I don't think we would have signed all 5 or 6 of those players we did in the transfer window just gone, once again, if Pep wasn't extending. I said that specifically about Haaland a few minutes ago, that he wouldn't have signed a 5-year deal unless he was given reassurance that Pep was extending. But likewise with Calvin Phillips. I know Calvin Phillips said he wants to come and play for City, but like once again, Pep is the big pull there. Same with Akanji, same with Julian Alvarez. I'm like Julian Alvarez had the pick of most clubs in Europe. Most clubs in Europe wanted Julian Alvarez because he's that good. He was the top striker, best player in South America for a number of years now at such a young age. But he came because he wants to play for Pep essentially, and that's totally understandable. So I think. Are we in is basically, and there's 35 of you in the chat right now. I'm going to ask all of you this question as well. Make sure you've hit the like button, all 35 of you, if you would. It massively helps us. And subscribe if you're new to the channel. The support recently has been fantastic. And it's the start of a big week as well, people. So we're going to have a lot of content this week to look forward to. But the question for you two and for the chat is Pep Guardiola in statue territory right now? If he was to leave at the end of the season, do you build Pep a statue? And that means if he doesn't win the Champions League, let's say he finishes this season, wins the Premier League, so that means 5 and 6 Premier Leagues, but no Champions League. Do you build a statue for Pep? Even though we've all agreed he is our greatest ever manager.
Get a poll going. Get a poll.
Get a poll in the chat, Joe.
I'll get a poll, but if anyone votes no, I need you to out yourselves right now.
I think I saw City actually asked the same question to their chat the other day, and they had like 1,000 viewers live when they asked this question, and they did a poll which finished 50-50. It had like over 1,000 votes, and it finished 50-50. So people are obviously divided. He is our greatest ever manager, Pep Guardiola. 4 and 5 Premier Leagues. I think it's 11 or 12 trophies. Our second ever Champions League semi-final, our first ever Champions League final. I think I lean towards yes. You give it to him right now, regardless. Like you could pay for it to be built right now.
I think he will get one, but I do think he'll win the Champions League.
No, I think he will win. I believe.
No, I know exactly your question. I know your question is if he turns around tomorrow and says leaving, do you build a statue? I don't know. I'm not going to answer that.
And Russ says the 100-point season, the first ever domestic treble. Alex Ferguson said that couldn't be done. Remember that, people. Alex Ferguson, John Coster, your GOAT, said the domestic treble could not be done. We went and did the quadruple, motherfucker. Pep's clear in terms of English achievements for me, so I think I lean towards yes. Joe's going to put a poll up in the chat now. All of you make sure you vote in that poll because I'm genuinely curious to know is it statue territory. Obviously, when in my opinion it's a when, but when the Champions League does come along, it's statue territory, more so deservedly than some of the other current statue holders.
Nice.
First Champions League, man.
You can say that about the players as well, though. You can say that about the likes of De Bruyne. He's by technicality, he's been here for slightly longer. I don't know.
I think De Bruyne is also in the conversation for a statue. Like, do you give him one right now?
De Bruyne?
Yeah.
You can't just go giving every player a statue, man. Come on. We have far too many good players.
Sorry. Go to Old Trafford. Look how many fucking statues they've got up for all sorts of random people, yeah? Because they went through a period or a number of periods where they dominated and they won fucking everything. When you have superheroes, as many as you do, you have to honour them. Do you know what I mean?
We've got a statue of Carl the Dragon outside. Come on, man.
And Tony Kroos.
After his performance in the Sidemen charity match.
Oh my God, bin that cunt. Sorry, bin him.
Nah, listen.
What an awful fucking keeper.
Relax, man. He's a good guy, Carl the Dragon, but I think he admits himself.
That was dreadful. I saw the ball. The ball went to him, right? And he kicked past the ball. Instead of just going down using his hands, he kicked past that ball. As in more watching it was very boring.
No statue for Carl the Dragon. Maybe a statue for De Bruyne. Yes, a statue for Pep Guardiola. Joe, where's that poll, man?
It's there. Poll's there. People are voting.
Let me vote.
I don't see it, man. Oh, that's because I'm logged in on the Age 94 account.
Yeah, mate, you should probably start doing it on your own.
Yeah. Let me know the result as it comes out. What are people saying?
It's 85-15 towards yes, with 15 votes.
Yeah, man, the people know what they're talking about. The people know that Pep, I think Pep does deserve one. He does. Think of his achievements. It's only because we're living in the era of Pep right now that we're possibly a bit like, I don't know, maybe should we wait for the Champions League? But when he's gone and things go a bit downhill, which is inevitable, football, like I always say, is cyclical. When he leaves, we will go through a period of transition where we have to start all over again to get back to the top. I don't think we will ever see a period like this again as City fans. We're living in absolutely spoiled times, and when that time comes,
I don't think we'll see it in England. I don't think we'll ever see it like this in England again.
exactly, and
Not
when
even the
that
City fans, England.
yeah, I actually agree. And when that time comes where we are in a not as exciting or not as trophy filled period, we will look back on the 100 points, the domestic quadruple, 4 and 5 Premier Leagues, potentially 5 and 6 should we win it this year, and then another 3 years of Pep, whatever he wins in that period, he will win more. We will look back on this period and go, fucking hell. Like, fucking hell, that was outrageous what we did. And then you'll go, yeah, get that baldy fucker a statue now, man. He's absolutely worth it. Joe, you give me your thoughts on the statue thing.
He deserves a statue right now. If he leaves tomorrow, he deserves a statue. Like, I don't see a world in which he doesn't. He's broken countless records, and he's then proceeded to break his own records that he has broken. I don't know why you wouldn't give him a statue. Like, come on, first back-to-back Premier League in a decade, 100 points for the first time ever, first clean sweep domestically in the men's game. Like, what more can the man do? Like, his teams are scoring 100 goals a season. They're scoring 100 goals a season without a number 9. Like, come on. Are you mad? Like, no, statue territory.
Are you mad?
Are you mad?
You're mad. You're fuming. You're mad.
It's statue territory already regardless, and the fella's going to stay, like, longer as well, so he's only going to add to it. And will he win a Champions League? I mean, if he wins it, then I don't see how anybody in world football can say no at that point. But in terms of me right now, I think he deserves one anyway.
I think we win the Champions League this season, and I think he extends his contract, and I think he gets a statue. Could you build a statue for someone before they leave the club? Just hypothetically?
No, I think it just makes more sense to wait until they've left.
Yeah, I agree. Patrick comes in here. He says this isn't a dig, but it's an interesting point. I've already read it, but I want people to give their thoughts as well. He says Pep probably wouldn't get a statue at teams like Arsenal, United, Chelsea, but seeing as he says probably wouldn't get a statue at teams like United, Arsenal, and Chelsea and City. But seeing as all of City's success is very recent, City should give him one to start creating that history and culture. I think what he's saying, but I think he would absolutely get one at Arsenal. Probably not.
I don't think sure he gets one.
Chelsea, he gets one if you ask me. Liverpool, he gets one. Probably not United, just because to get one as a manager, to get one at Man United, you probably want to come close to or eclipse what Alex Ferguson did. So any future Man United manager, you can kind of rule yourself out of a statue.
I think they're going to give Klopp one, right, Liverpool? I think if Pep was there, they are giving him one because, again, let's say...
If they're giving Klopp one, we have to give Pep one.
Yeah. No, but in my opinion, right, I'm taking it in this way. They will give Klopp one. If you, let's say you swap the successes, right? Let's say if Liverpool win 4 and 5 years.
Yeah.
Let's say Liverpool win 4 and 5 years. Pep already has a statue. Do you know what I mean? I think he does get one because it will have been their first title in what would have been 25 years, whatever. And then to do it another 3 times, another 3 times on top of that. You're fucking joking. He'd be getting a statue. Like, I mean, Liverpool, let's be fair, Liverpool haven't had much recent success. Other than you take out the 10 years in the build up to this sustained period, they've had none.
Sustained period.
This year of dominance in England. They had nothing. They had Paul Konchesky and Jay Spear in it, is what they had. Believe me, Pep gets a statue.
I didn't count because there was no one there. It was an empty stadium, so it doesn't really count.
Oh yeah, God, don't never forget the 0-0 draw at West Brom.
And even the year they won the league, we still thumped them 4-0 in the Etihad after that. That's all I'm saying.
They're all hungover, Murray. They're all hungover.
Shut up and
you fucking take it.
Yes, Anthony, good to see you, my friend. Good night, Luke, man. Thanks for coming to the stream. Good to see you. Russ says, hopefully Arteta perfects Pep's teachings and Arsenal, and he'd be the perfect replacement. I don't know if I'd ever take Arteta at City. I think if there was a manager that I would want at City to replace Pep, I think the obvious one that everyone says is Luis Enrique. But I'm going to throw a curveball at some of you who maybe aren't interested. I think you know what I'm going to say. Rebel. I would like to see him with the budget that Pep Guardiola has, with the size of Manchester City Football Club, Ange Postecoglou. Hear me out. Hear me out. This guy plays rock and roll football. And when I say rock and roll football, people, I mean, we're talking like 2018 City type football. Obviously not to the same standard because City have a much better squad back then. But, you know, the really fast paced, almost counter-attacking front three with lightning pace and serious finishers. Trust me, people, do not sleep on Ange Postecoglou. He's from Australia. He manages Celtic right now, and they're doing great. Honestly, and City, he has worked in the City Football Group before. The City Football Group are aware of him as well. I wouldn't. All I'm saying is, don't shoot me, people. He's not a bad manager. And then Luis Enrique, obviously, because he kind of is a regen of Pep.
As long as he brings...
in Australia.
In Australia.
Oh, he's in Melbourne. I tell you what, yeah. Let me interject and say, having watched Celtic, I'm completely for that.
As long as he brings Jota. As long as he brings Jota with him.
Gotta, yeah.
I just want Kyogo. I don't even want Ange. I just want Kyogo.
Bring one of them.
Bring Catholic Carter Vickers with him.
Cameron Carter Vickers.
Catholic Carter Vickers.
Stop, man, stop. Can he attract players? Andrew says probably not to the same level as Pep, or absolutely not the same level as Pep. But as with every manager, they have to build their profile. They have to find their way somehow. And it's just because of the style of football he plays and his whole ideology to the game. I really like Ange. And obviously, for those of you who know me well, you know I like Celtic as well. I'm Irish. I've got a lot of love for Celtic, and I've never once said it about a Celtic player or a Celtic manager that I would like to see them eventually at City, or I would be open to it. Ange is the first ever. It's because of the style of football he plays. Trust me, people. He's a good manager. But Luis Enrique, any other managers out there that you would take at City?
Ship has sailed for half of them because they've all gone off while we've been extending Pep's contract. So unless someone appears out of nowhere.
Poch was top of my list.
Poch can stay the fuck away from my club. That guy is a serial loser, man. He's a serial fucking loser.
I don't believe that.
He'll get us to 3 Champions League finals and lose them all. We won't make any progress with that guy.
I don't believe Poch was ever on the list. The man's never won anything.
He was always I always just admired his football.
He was on the United's list because they're used to not winning things at the moment.
Fucking shit, that's why. Who else did even pop up? Like, I mean,
Rodgers popped up, but again, he's another bottler. I don't think he was ever in consideration.
Clinical's here with a good one. He says Hansi Flick.
He's only just taken the Germany job. He's only just taken it, so maybe but I mean,
Nagelsmann's under intense pressure at the minute as well, so he's gone.
I mean, Potter's just gone as well. I think like one of the plans, it was never going to work because Pep stayed for too long. I think one of the plans was hoping Arteta would turn out half decent. And then I think when that one fell apart, it was like, we're just gonna kind of have to keep Pep until someone falls in our lap. Like everyone that we've been linked to, like Ten Hag, he's gone to United. Like there's so many options that have just gone elsewhere just in this time. And it's like, Pep, please stay. We've got no one else.
Well, no, it's not Pep, please stay because we have no one else. It's I'm talking in 3 years' time because I think this will be his last extension. I hope it's not. I hope he stays forever. But 10 years, I think that's Pep done at that point. But Patrick comes in with another good one here. He says, and there's a couple of calls actually for Zinedine Zidane.
He's a winner.
He's a winner, but I'm not sure on the football.
He's notorious for falling out with players as well. So that's another bald man coming in who falls out with players. I think that could be a match.
He's a good knockout manager. He didn't do too well domestically in the league. He always did well in Europe because it was knockout competition. So I'm not too sure on that one.
The thing with Zidane is you're saying you don't like his football, and I get that, but if the football we're seeing right now, we will never see it as good again. Yeah. We will never, ever see it as good again.
We always make the point of always wanting to go for the Premier League. We need a manager who's, better over longer spans rather than knockout football if we want to carry on this Premier League dominance. Like Zidane's not that. He's a knockout football manager. Same way Tuchel was a knockout football manager. The man just sat there and just absorbed pressure and counter-attacked his way to, cup finals. Because you can do that in knockout football. You can't do that in the Premier League.
He plays a 4-3-3, Patrick says. Is that any use to us?
We play 4-3-3, I think is what is the point he's trying to make here. But, I mean, you have to think about it in a sense of, he had such an unbelievable team as well. He went 3 around the Champions League and
on paper, they were not much better than our current team.
Oh,
I don't even think they were better on paper.
They never. Again, my whole point is domestically, meh. Like if we're at that point, if Pep's gone and we haven't won a Champions League and we're full on just working for a Champions League, then yeah, go on, why not? Because he's proved that he can win that one. But like again, I want Premier Leagues. I want consistency over 38 games rather than good knockout football. Like I want to be entertained in football.
I think the one route that I just don't want to go down, absolutely just avoid, is Vincent Kompany route.
Unless he does a
It
madness.
depends on how well he does at Burnley. If he gets Burnley, like he has Burnley playing good football, if he gets Burnley up and there's a few seasons in a row of like mid-table.
He's got 3 years to prove himself. If Pep signs this deal, he's got 3 years to prove himself, essentially.
Pretty much. I think it's always, he seems a good manager. He's got Josh Cullen there now, hasn't he?
He's got a few players we know.
He'll be very well respected in the dressing room as well. Like he will have an influence. The question is mainly his approach to games. Like how well is he as a manager? Which is why I think Burnley's the perfect place, to be honest. Championship is a tough league. If he can get him promoted and then keep him up for a couple of years, and then Pep leaves, you never know.
I get what you're saying, and I actually agree with you in principle. I just have the fear of ruining.
I'd hate to call for his head. I'd absolutely hate it.
Yeah. And you're a man for it. I know. Yeah. People's head.
Joe would be on Twitter #Kompany out after we lose the opening.
No, I won't go that far. I think that's the one thing that's kind of holding everyone back from going. You just put Kompany in, get an ex-player. Everyone's doing it. Is you'd absolutely hate to just go. He's not the man. Like you have to sack him. He's not the man. Like you'd absolutely hate it. Like you couldn't bring yourself to do it.
I know we always say, or when a club legend comes back to manage a club, the fans always say, "Oh yeah, we won't let it ruin the image or why we love them so much." It does though. It does take away from the legacy they built, and you still will hold on to the legacy they did build, and you'll go, "That was fantastic," but it's the last memory is the managerial stint, and I'd rather not go down that route with Kompany. Patrick, yeah, I get what you're saying. A Champions League is what you're missing, and the man wins them for fun. He's talking there about Zidane, and I agree. Yeah, I think Joe made the point that he's a knockout manager, and I'd be fairly confident in Zidane to win us a Champions League. He's got that pull. He probably has not as big a pull as Pep, but close to it, just because he's Zidane and he's won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. So we can attract top players. Would we be challenging for the Premier League the way we are now, consistently year in year out under Zidane? I don't think so. But the Champions League is something he would prioritise, and it's something I think he would win at City. There's about 40 people in the building right now. Make sure you've all hit the like button if you would. It massively helps us, and we always appreciate you guys coming in to chat to us. I love reading your guys' messages. Whenever I ask questions, I love reading your guys' answers to it. It's great to see some other thoughts. Like I asked,
I love the Patrick Vieira shout in the chat going around right now. He's doing well at Palace.
Yes.
What do we think about Vieira?
He's doing well at Palace.
He's got a young crop of players at Palace as well.
Fuck's sake, he beat Pep.
They're playing for him as well. He seems to be a good man manager where he's getting these players in, like Elise, Eze, fucking Zaha's actually playing for him now. Zaha's not turning around and throwing his toys out of the Prem every season.
He had Conor Gallagher playing like an absolutely 10 out of 10 midfielder.
Now he's playing for Chelsea. He looks like a bag of shite in that system. He played unbelievable for Vieira.
Coincidence? I think not.
And who's they have someone else fucking doing we head in, I can't think of it. Jeffrey Schlupp is a half decent Premier League winger now.
Look, Patrick Vieira, no doubt he is a very good manager, but I want to see same with Kompany. You want to see him prove it a little bit more. Kompany has a lot more to prove than Vieira, because Vieira is doing it in the Premier League with what was a very poor Palace team, and he's turned into a very good Palace team. Kompany has to get up to the Premier League first before he's even into that bracket. So, you know what, Vieira, yeah, and I like his approach to the game. I like his high pressing game. He doesn't sit back against bigger opposition. Like when we play against Palace ourselves, his team get up in our face. They put pressure on us in the midfield areas and in our centre halves in a way that freaks us out quite clearly, and it's worked for them on a couple of occasions. So, yeah, I like his approach to the game. I like his ideologies, Patrick Vieira. Anybody else get Scott Parker on his cardigan? No, you're all right, mate. Thanks. Thomas Frank. No.
Doesn't suit us. No, he sticks to his 3 at the back, and he loves the set piece. I know we loved the set piece last year, but I mean, he loves long throws. We don't do long throws.
He's after Leicester too. I read that
shit.
he was going to be things replacement, Rodgers replacement.
I've also read that they can't afford to sack Rodgers because his buyout fee is too much.
He has an 18 million buyout fee, Brendan Rodgers. Leicester are not paying that. They'll just say no.
How long does he have left to run?
Too long.
He's got a while, I'm pretty sure. Listen, we have a super chat here. Listen, we need to get some sort of a sound effect or something for super chats, because when someone sends a super chat in, like I always say, we don't ask for them. We never say please donate or please super chat. I'd never do that. We're not about that. But when anybody does, it just makes us feel like we're doing something right. So we massively appreciate super chats. And Sal S says here, for 279, Hansi Flick boys also love the show. Thank you so much, Sal. Genuinely, really appreciate that. You don't understand how much we appreciate the love when anybody shows it. Even if you just hit the like button. No, we never ask for super chats. Just hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel. We're absolutely buzzing. We love people getting involved and supporting the channel. But thanks for the super chat, Sal. And Hansi Flick, we brushed over quite quickly, but he is someone I rate very highly. And he's in that bracket of managers that I'd say yes to pretty well straight away.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, go on.
I mean, I do have to make a quick point. I watched snippets of the England game tonight, and he was playing Gundogan in a 6 and Kimmich as a box-to-box. So I don't know what he's doing there, but that's like my only thing that I was like, what's he doing?
I'm just looking at this. I'm just looking at this here, right? He's playing a 4-2-3-1 with them. Seemingly, with Havertz. Again, this is purely me reading off this. I didn't watch it. I was at another match. Havertz playing a striker, which is effectively a false 9. So
Scoring, and he's scoring. Hansi Flick has got Havertz scoring goals.
he must be good. He must be fucking good if he's got that bag of shite scoring.
Tactical Tommy, that fraud couldn't get Havertz to score goals. So how is this Hansi Flick guy getting to score
one fucking goal? He got him to score one fucking goal, and it was against us. And he's done nothing since. He's walked around the park like fucking Charlie D'Amelio all the time. Bag of absolute cats.
Hansi Flick, Sal, I agree. It's a yes for me for Hansi Flick. I would take him. I genuinely. German managers, and except that tactical Tommy fraud, are generally very good. Like they're winners. German managers, the top German managers are winners.
Yeah, I'd like to say he's playing a system of a 4-2-3-1. Did Hansi Flick was the one that won the Champions League with Bayern, wasn't it, Joe?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, so he played that style of pressing. He played a pressing football. I like his football.
I'd quite like us to dip into the Bundesliga, to be honest, because that's where we got Pep from. So yeah. Got pretty good success. Bundesliga tax myth doesn't exist.
Was it?
Listen,
sorry,
shush. Bundesliga. I mean, people say Bundesliga tax. I mean, half our squad and our manager came from the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I mean, look at that Haaland guy. He's got Bundesliga tax. He seems to be flopping a little bit. Look at that manager we have, Pep Guardiola. He seems to be flopping a little bit. He came from Bayern Munich, didn't he? Patrick says, last one on Zidane. He only won one more Champions League 3 than La Liga's 2. Tournament manager, eh? Yeah, that's a good point, man. That's a good point. For me, it's a yes for Zidane and it's a yes for Hansi Flick. Joe, both of them. What? Yes or no?
I'd take either, to be honest, because they both have winning DNA, and that's what I want from my next manager. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said before about wanting to be entertained. Like, if we're not being entertained, winning will suffice. Like, I just want to keep winning trophies, man. That's what keeps me happy. So as long as we sign someone with a little bit of pedigree, I think this is the whole company and Vieira stuff. Like, it's nice to fantasize about them becoming, these young up and coming managers that we can have for a long time, but like, I am slightly leaning towards the manager who's sort of more win now or win in the next couple of years, because like there's players in our squad that by the time Pep leaves, there'll be players in our squad who are entering their prime, maybe slightly past their peak, so we're going to want someone who's going to win things.
Ollie Horgan will ensure survival every year.
We're gonna need to get a manager who wins immediately. I don't think we should go into another process with a manager like Mancini or Pellegrini, who you needed to give them a little bit of time or find their feet kind of at that level. You need to find a manager like Joe said with winning DNA, and Pep Guardiola is the ultimate right now. He is the best. So finding someone to succeed him, you need a Zidane or a Flick or someone of that caliber who'll come in and challenge for the Premier League very heavily and at least give you a lot of hope for the Champions League too. That's what Chelsea did with Thomas Tuchel. They sacked Frank Lampard. They brought Tuchel in, who did have quite a bit of pedigree before he came to Chelsea, and then they went on to win the Champions League. But listen, we're gonna park the managerial conversation there for the second, because it's one that will continue to crop up as this snowball effect I spoke about with the Pep Guardiola contract situation keeps moving forward. There will be conversations about when he does leave, who would you like? I think it's a nice one to talk about. The nice one to talk about as well was the statue conversation. These are all nice things. We're living in a great time, people. If you're a City fan, you know we're living in a great era. It's you're blessed to be a Blue, as they say. But the next person we want to talk about, Joe, stick him up on screen there, is a man who played quite well, if you ask me, for England tonight. I don't know that anybody watched England versus Germany tonight. I was impressed with him. They said he was going to be on trial to see could he take Calvin Phillips' place for the World Cup or start over him. And that, of course, is Jude Bellingham. Another Dortmund player, another player with that Bundesliga tax we're always talking about. And Dortmund have apparently put a price tag on his head, saying that if a club was to come in next summer and pay 83 million up front, 83 million, but they want it up front. That's the specific thing to take in mind here, people, is that they want it up front. They don't want any of this installments thing that Man United like to do, pay over 5 years. Barcelona do it too. They don't want any of these, swap player and cash. Dortmund are a selling club. They're a club that want big cash for their top players, and they want it now. Jude Bellingham, I rate him very highly, and I have my own sources. I always say this. You don't have to take me too seriously. You don't have to take anything I say too seriously. But I have people who I trust anyway in the world of football transfers who say City are really, really, really interested in Jude Bellingham, have spoken to his representatives. They spoke to his representatives in Manchester last week when we played him in the Champions League. Does that mean a deal is going to happen? Absolutely not. Am I saying a deal is going to happen? Absolutely not. Do I think it'll happen? Yes, I do think it'll happen. Why? Because I feel when City want the player, they will get him. The pulling power of Manchester City Football Club right now is just too strong. We have absolutely everything bar the sun, the climate that Spain and Italy has, for a top player to want to come. You look at our squad, the star-struck names we have in our squad, the manager, the infrastructure, the money, the trophies, everything. I think that is what will beat Liverpool and United and whoever else is interested in Jude Bellingham next summer to getting his signature. And we have the small matter of the Nordic Meat Shield, who can just ring him up on FaceTime and say, listen, get on that plane to Manchester, man. Life is good here. Lads, Jude Bellingham, do we rate him, do we not?
I think he's a good footballer. I think he's a very good footballer, yeah. I was puzzled to see a Man United news page reporting about Man City being linked to them, because United aren't getting them. They're shite. There's no chance of them getting it. It's going to come down to two. Yeah, it's going to come down to two. Benny said 3. Madrid are not in this. City, Liverpool. Comes down to the two of them. I actually don't know. I don't know if we're going to get them. I trust you enough to turn around and be comfortable in saying that, yeah, I think we'll get them. But if it was just taking myself, I don't know. And the thing is, yeah, I like him. I don't really care. I don't want to say I don't care.
You have to care because next summer we are guaranteed to lose at least one of Bernardo and Gundo, possibly both. We need we need a young, fresh, box-to-box midfielder who can score goals, who can create, who's tenacious, who's aggressive, and who's still young, like I said. We need, like I said about the summer just gone, Pep is planning for the future. That's why he's extending, and that's why we bought all the players we did in the summer. He's planning for the future. Jude Bellingham is the perfect player for the future and for now. He's instant results, if you ask me. And particularly if we're going to lose Gundo, I think Bellingham is a much more similar player to Ilkay Gundogan and can possibly get even better if he maximizes his potential. Man, I think £83 million for Jude Bellingham. Go and say to Dortmund right now, we'll give that. Go and say it right now.
You have definitely seen more of them than me. I won't lie. I'm not going to turn around and say I've watched a lot of them. I don't watch England. I very rarely watch Dortmund. But he always scores against us. He does always score against us, in fairness.
He's the one player across the 3 games we've played against Dortmund over the last 2-3 years that you'd say was consistently good in all of those games. All of them.
Yeah, true. He should have scored another one against us as well. Thankfully, they blew the whistle before Edison got clipped. But I think he is a good player from the little I've seen of him. I wouldn't want Liverpool to get him. I really wouldn't want Liverpool to get him. I'll say that much.
Joe, where do you stand on the Jude Bellingham thing?
I'm going to attempt to try and watch more Dortmund where I can, pay close attention to the World Cup, see how he fits in. But I am a man of many controversies. I do think he's overrated, to be quite honest with you.
Joe!
No. Listen, don't. Hey, listen, calm. I think he's overrated as he is. I don't think he's the answer. Of course, I'd still get him just to stop Liverpool getting him, because like I just don't want Liverpool
You're
getting
just a snide prick, is what you are.
Exactly. Anyway, like I think he's closer to Gundogan. I don't think he's necessarily too creative as a midfielder, at least not yet. Again, these are things that can be changed. We mustn't forget, guys, he's 19.
He's young. He's young.
Forget that.
He's still only fucking 19.
He's still only 19. Pep can mold him into the player, which is why when I say overrated, it is technically in quote commas. He can be molded into a different type of player. He is more of a Gundogan. He's a more goal scoring midfielder, which I guess if we're going to lose Gundogan, we kind of need, because we don't really have an out and out, goal scoring midfielder after that. Like you see, De Bruyne's a clean striker of the ball, but he's more a creator. And even if Bernardo Silva stays, he's not really a goal scorer or a creator. He's sort of a link man. The thing I like most when I have seen Bellingham is when he has the ball, he's very tidy. Like he's good under pressure. He's very good at carrying the ball. Like he's very good, at least statistically anyway, I've seen. He's always up there, high pass completion rate. He's always attempting dribbles. So he's good at actually escaping pressure. I just think that he's unfinished, he's unpolished. I think he's got a little bit of work to do creatively. I don't know how his discipline is, considering if you want to delve into it a little bit, if he's going to play in that midfield three, you'd assume it'd be De Bruyne, Bellingham. If we do lose Bernardo Silva and Ilkay Gundogan, it would be Bellingham, De Bruyne and Rodri. How is Bellingham going to fare on the defensive end, sitting in that two with Rodri when we don't have the ball? It's just those little things that I'm going to see if I can maybe watch a bit more, because I do think that there's this massive hype about him genuinely being world class already, and I don't see it, but I haven't seen too much of him. But I think he's got so much room to grow because of the level he's at already with his age, that you can't really afford to let him go, really, because you don't want him going to a rival. So when I say overrated, I don't mean he's going to be shit. I don't think he's completely useless as a football player, and I do think we should still sign him. I just think, the expectations and the level that people are describing him as, it's just a little bit too high.
Okay, now that you've explained it, I get where you're coming from. But no, he's world class, man. He's for me.
Fucking class.
Listen, there's nearly 50 people in the building. Wow. Thank you all for coming in. Make sure you've all hit the like button. I think we're about 6 likes off 50. So smash the like button if you would. It massively helps us. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're on the road to 4K. We really appreciate all of your support. But Andrew makes a good point here. He says he's 19, as Joe has just outlined for us, and already has 100 Bundesliga appearances and 31 goal involvements. People, that is, for a midfielder, of course, like, you have to throw in the age there once again. At 19 to have 31 goal involvements in the Bundesliga is pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good, and he does not look out of place in a what I believe is a pretty boring and crap England team. And then he goes on to say he has a working relationship with Haaland. He's perfect. I think he is. I think he's an extremely mature player, and he offers a lot of qualities that Pep Guardiola likes. I've seen a quote from Pep saying, or I don't know if it was Pep or someone says. Some journalist, I don't know if there's a paper talk or if it's a serious quote, but some journalist says Pep Guardiola believes Jude Bellingham can go on to hit the levels of Kevin De Bruyne. And I think for a player of 19 years old to be achieving with consistency what he is currently with Dortmund and with England, it's not out of the question. You can't rule it out. I mean, a lot of people think of Jude Bellingham because he's been around now for a while, or at least on people's radars for a while. You kind of think of him as kind of like a 25, 26-year-old, but you have to pull yourself back and go, the kid's 19. He's 19, and he's doing what he's doing. He's the best player in that Dortmund team, who are no They're no pushovers. That Dortmund team, they're not the Dortmund of great. Over the last couple decades, they've had a few great teams. They're not that good, but he's the best player in a decent Dortmund team who are in our Champions League, the Champions League group with us. So they must be at least something. Jude Bellingham, for me, it's a yes. Stick a poll in the chat there as well for that one, Joe. Jude Bellingham for 83 million people. 83 million Dortmund want for him up front, like I said. UT Car says Manchester is red. We'll see on Sunday, man. We'll see on Sunday is Manchester red or blue. I think it is and will remain blue. Like I said, people, a lot to look forward to this week. We have a big week of content coming up for the Manchester derby. I have shot Saeed from the Big Six, my Big Six colleague, a text to see does he fancy coming on Thursday. Excuse me, to do a preview for the Manchester derby. It would be great to get a Man United fan perspective and maybe have a bit of a laugh, have some banter, see what he's saying. And if you guys want it, I can ask one of the City Extra lads or another City content creator, whoever you want to see, if they want to come on and talk about the Manchester derby. Big week of content, a lot to look forward to. Glenn says, trust me, if we don't sign Bellingham, Liverpool will get him. That's the thing. I was speaking when I was in London yesterday. To Grizz, many people know from the Big Six, and he was saying that Bellingham wants Liverpool. He's led to believe that Bellingham wants Liverpool and his family are very into Liverpool, or dad's Liverpool fan. And I was kind of going, I don't know, man. They're from Birmingham. We know Bellingham's a big Bluebird. He's a big Birmingham fan. And even with that, I don't care. I don't care if it's true that Bellingham wants Liverpool. I think once City state their firm interest in him and offer what they want to offer and pitch their project to him and basically say, Pep's just extended, because when the time comes, there will be a Pep extension announced. Pep's just extended. There's another 4 years of Haaland, your boy, who you have a working relationship with, as Andrew says. We can offer you more money on the contract than Liverpool can. We've won more trophies in recent years than Liverpool have. We will continue to win more trophies than Liverpool will. And you are going to be a starter for us every single week, beside Kevin fucking De Bruyne and Rodri behind you, with Haaland up front, with Diaz and whoever behind you. This team and this club is built for this player, Jude Bellingham, to come in and play for us. And I think, just to rule out the Real Madrid possibility, I think being English and playing in the national team beside the likes of Grealish and Sterling, obviously, who's won Premier Leagues with us, the lure of playing for a title challenging team in the Premier League will just be too much for him. I don't know, lads. What do we think?
Oh my God, Grealish. They're going to have a fight in training. Look at Birmingham and Aston Villa. They're going to have a knock.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you this, yeah. There's this malarkey. He was a Liverpool fan. Here's one for you right now. This is going way back. This is going like before last season kicked off. We were told by we have an old journalist mate who lives in is Philip in Sweden or Norway?
Sweden.
He's in Sweden, right?
Norway. It's Norway.
Well, regardless, I know minimum he used to live in Norway. He said everyone in Norway is a Liverpool. Everybody in Norway is a Liverpool fan, right? And that made absolutely no fucking odds on Haaland getting there. So, Grizz, I presume you're not watching it. It makes no difference, my son, my mate.
I thought you were about to do a Rory Jennings, tell him to suck his mum.
No, I won't tell him to suck his mother.
Grizz is my boy, man. Grizz is my boy. Right,
but I don't think it makes too much of a difference. Just like I don't think it's too much of a difference of Haaland being a City fan. That's why I don't romanticise it. I don't care. I don't think being a fan of a club pushes you too much. If someone's turning around saying you are going to be a starting midfielder of the best team in the world on 300 grand a week, that'll push me to sign.
And the thing is, Bellingham is the kind of player who, if we sign him next summer when he's going on 20, he could be a player we have for 10, 12 years. He could genuinely, and I know it's far-fetched to project these kind of things now, but he's a player who could go on to become a City legend. Jude Bellingham, he really is, if he comes, and he could build a serious legacy. And it's the perfect time for him to get in, because I know if he comes and he does do 10 years, there will be a couple of transitions in his period at City, but he will be coming into City to basically adopt our winning DNA, if you like. He'd be joining a team full of winners under a manager who's a winner, so that when the time comes that we have to transition and get a new manager and build a new squad, we will have Bellingham there, we'll have Foden there, hopefully have Haaland there, all these young guys who will have joined our team and grown up in our team through a winning DNA. And I think these are the kind of things that the club and the manager and all those who pull the strings take into account. They take these things into account. They're not just thinking, of course they are thinking, can they help our team now? Are they going to improve our team now? Of course they are. But they're also thinking long term. These board members, Khaldoon and Omar and Farhan and Cheeky, they're all thinking long term. They're very strategic, and Jude Bellingham would be a astute signing for the now and the future. So I would really like Jude Bellingham. He's someone I would say, if Dortmund want £83 million up front, go and give them their £83 million. Write out the check, send it in the letterbox, do whatever needs to be done, and get that player to Manchester. I just think I really believe the pull of Manchester City Football Club right now is just too big to say no for anybody, and we have to exercise that pull while we still have it, because there will come a time when we don't have the extreme levels of pulling power that we have now, i.e. Pep Guardiola, and some of the players who are obviously to play with as a big pull power. So there will come a time when we won't be able to do that. We need to exercise it and get in the players for the future now while we have the pulling power. Clinical says them wanting him or not doesn't bother me, but we need to push on this deal. I don't want to just go in half-heartedly and watch him go to our main rivals for the league. I think the fact that Liverpool are also in the race will push us harder to get him. It'll push us even harder to get him, because we've all just agreed here unanimously that even if, like Joe said, who thinks is Bellingham is slightly overrated, even just to stop Liverpool getting him, is a big W for us. Mike Henderson, yes, my friend, good to see you. He says Jude will be a royal blue. Jude is not going to Chelsea. Anders says Bellingham statue. Maybe, man. Maybe Bellingham statue. Russ Beard says it depends. I think for someone like Foden, his love for City is definitely a factor in signing new contracts, even if other teams were offering him more money. Well, the word was, if you remember correctly, people, when we were pushing hard for Jack Grealish, if you remember when they went on a pre-season trip to somewhere at Grealish, remember there was pictures of him leaked leaving training early to go and do negotiating or to do something, remember?
Yes.
The word was that Villa were actually willing to offer Grealish similar or more money than he ultimately got at City. Remember, people, Villa are not a poor club. They have a fuck ton of cash as well. They just don't have the pulling power we do, and they don't have the infrastructure we have.
Yeah, but the European champions, man. Come on, former European champions.
European champions with the worst manager in the league.
But what my point is, they offered Grealish more money, and he still said, no, I want to go to City, because the pulling power of Manchester City right now is just too big.
He fucked off his boyhood club who he was captain of, who were offering more money just to come and sit on the bench at City for a year.
Oh, what a fucking pack of wankers.
We are good.
Listen, with Bellingham anyway, yeah, it's a massive yes for me. I'm looking at the poll here in the chat. 84% of you have said yes to Jude Bellingham.
Who said fucking no? Out yourself now.
Probably the Chelsea fan in the chat or the United fan.
Yeah, what's the time everyone first naming him?
What?
Everyone first names Bellingham.
It's easier to say Jude instead of Bellingham.
I will say Bellingham till the door comes to the door.
It's easier to type Jude than to say Bellingham.
So I think it's mad. It's gentrifying football. What about Bellingham? Yeah, I think it'd be a yes.
It's a yes for me. It
wouldn't be a yes. You're fucking crazy if it's not a yes.
Listen, I'm going to watch him live. I'm going to Dortmund away now at the end of October, and I'll see him in person in the flesh. I'll give you all a full scouting report of what he's like.
Would he be wearing that top with it?
What's
Badging?
I'm telling you, people, do not fuck with me. Do not. I'm going to the Manchester Derby this Sunday. In the Etihad, and I will be wearing this, and I'll be walking by the away end, like just pointing at it. Just pointing at it. Yeah.
You don't have to open your mouth. You only have to shout at them. Just say hi.
I'll just look at the away end and just go like that. And then I'll be like, fucking hell, man.
There would be a collective stink of shit from Manchester.
They'll be like, don't fuck with that guy, man. He's hard as nails. Dennis says they'll be terrified. You people know that this badge means I'm hard as fuck.
Business means business.
This means I don't care what happens on the pitch.
I'm made out of stone.
I don't care what happens on the pitch. I'm all about the off-pitch business. Yeah, I'm there for a tear up. But
football factory, Murray is what they call them. That's what they called them back in Daily. They call them football factory.
Listen, before every game I go to, I watch Green Street 3 times before I go to bed.
Yeah, he does it. But the thing is, though, the way you do it is you have a position so you're watching it in a mirror. Not the way like you have to say, you'd say Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. He watches Green Street 3 times in the mirror.
Where are we going with this?
He's just hard as fuck, basically, is what I'm saying.
Don't either, mate. You don't fuck with me, man. You don't fuck with me. Russ says, spot on about the pulling power with Pep, Haaland and De Bruyne and Rodri behind him. That's hard to say no to. Exactly, man.
Rodri being put in pulling power conversations now. We have ascended from a few years ago.
Because the thing is, with Rodri, and it's more so in the Bellingham conversation, I wouldn't use Rodri as pulling power for other conversations, but with Bellingham, because with Dortmund, Bellingham has to do a huge amount of box-to-box work, defending, getting back to be a 6 at times, and moving forward to be an 8 at times. With us, he's got the comfort of the big Spanish guy behind him, and then Diaz and whoever else behind him again, so he won't have to do as much defensive work and can focus on being creative and making chances and scoring goals, and all that stuff that he probably wants to do more so. No?
I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know who the defensive midfielder is for Dortmund. Like, what, Emre Can? He's still living off that bicycle kick.
No, they play a fucking. No, they don't play a 5. They play a.
They've gone to a 4 again. Anyway, regardless, he will be freed. He will be freed. Something that he's not really freed at England level, considering, you know, the style of play there. He's having to do a lot of defensive work there because of the tactical setup there. So, you know, we'll wait and see on that one, I suppose. Depends where he goes. But so we need to free my guy, as some people would say.
Free Broski. You've done nothing wrong.
Free my guy 100 times. Andrew says, South Stand season ticket holder. Yes, I actually am. No, I do. I genuinely have a season ticket at the South Stand. You'll see me there on Sunday. Ryan, he says Bellingham said he wants Madrid, doesn't fancy a Premier League move. I read on some report today. What do we think of that?
If you could name the report, and maybe we could see how valid it is.
Follow up, Mike makes a good point as well to follow that. He says because Kroos and Modric are on the way out, they're also looking, and they will.
Yeah, Kroos and Modric are on the way out. They have the new midfield three. I hope they realise that they have Camavinga, Valverde, and
too many men. Too many men.
Too many men.
Modric will play till he's 50. Modric will play till he's about 50. That man is not leaving anytime soon.
I think Kroos can do that too. Kroos is unbelievable.
Like
Kroos is slowing down. Kroos is slowing down more than Modric.
Modric won't leave for a while. Like, they are sorted. They don't need an immediate replacement. Like,
they just offered him a new deal. They just offered Modric a new deal.
Yeah. He signed it.
Sorry, yeah. He signed the thing, man. He signed the thing.
He's not going anywhere.
What a footballer.
Who? Modric?
What a footballer.
Would you? Okay, I would answer this question. Would you take him at City right now for one season?
No.
For what?
One season.
Yes. One season.
No.
Modric.
No. One season, yes.
No.
What
Champions League, Modric.
No.
This is Luka Modric.
No. Unless he takes De Bruyne's spot, then yes.
Oh, fuck off. What happened this again?
No, listen, imagine. Okay, so say Gundogan leaves, or Bernardo and Gundo leave, yeah, next summer, just hypothetically. We say we get Bellingham in, and we give Modric a 1-year deal.
Honey.
Who says no, people? Who says no?
Me.
The Sun, Ryan says the Sun reported that. The Sun. It's not real.
Fuck off. Come on.
The Sun are the one.
And he's gone.
Is that him?
And he's gone.
To report the 83 million thing, and you're taking that as gospel. So we take this as heavy as you take that shit.
Technical difficulties there, but what he was basically saying is don't believe what the Sun are saying.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
Probably in much harsher terms, though. Probably using much harsher words.
I said.
Go for it.
I said, if we're taking this Bellingham 83 million thing, right? The Sun reported that, and now we're saying that. Don't believe what the Sun said about Bellingham wanting to go to Madrid. I think we have to take that on two similar grounds.
Nah, Bellingham doesn't want Madrid.
Brilliant.
What was the other one?
I can't remember.
The 83 million one, which I don't believe the 83 million.
Nah, the 83 is correct, and he doesn't want Madrid. We believe what we want. This is propaganda on this channel. This is
fuck me. It's going to be so funny when we don't. So.
Listen, I said to you guys, I said to the chat, Modric for 1 year and Bellingham on a long-term contract next summer to play alongside De Bruyne, and everyone is saying yes. It's a yes from Dennis, it's a yes from Rust, it's a yes from Clinical, it's a yes from me, it's a yes from Revel, it's a no from Joe.
It's also
Explain
a no
yourself.
it's also a no from Andrew. I'm glad I got someone in my corner. The fella's turning 38. I know he's still got it, but my brother in Christ, we can't rely on a man that old.
We relied on Fernandinho at 36.
No, we fucking didn't. His legs fell off, and then we decided to go play Gundogan there. Shush.
Fucking idiot.
Right, listen.
We watched him at centre half on the last day of the season, and he fell apart.
Right, so to conclude, Bellingham for 83 million, if true, is an absolute steal. We should do it. Modric, it's just hypothetical conversation. The next player that you wanted to move on to, we're not going to go on for too much longer. Bellingham and Pep are kind of the main ones we want to talk about, but I don't know a huge amount about this guy, but he's tearing it up in the Serie A, and it's Rafael Leao. Is it Rafael? Is that his first name?
Rafael, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know a huge amount about this guy, but before we get into it, 40 people in the building, as always, if you would do us the massive favor of hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, it massively helps us. I think we're on like 55 likes. Try get it up to 60 if possible before the stream ends. We would massively appreciate that, and of course subscribe, share it around, help the community grow. We're always so grateful to have you guys coming in and sharing your thoughts. A lot of regular faces coming back, a lot of new ones tonight as well, so it's great to see the new people, great to see the regulars as well. And like I said, a big week of content coming up leading up to the weekend, the Manchester derby. But this guy, lads, you in the chat, all 40 of you, you're going to have to inform me on Leao, and so are you, Joe and Darren, now in a second. But in the chat, tell me your thoughts on this Rafael Leao guy. I'm only hearing good reports. I'm only hearing reports that this guy is absolutely sick in the Serie A. So tell me what you think. And yeah, both of you seem to know a lot more about him than me.
Joe more so than me, but I'll give my 2 cents. He's 6'2".
Yeah.
He's 6'2", very technically gifted. He's effectively a striker playing out on the left, right? Like, he started off as a striker, not that much, and then he was playing on the left flank for them last year and won the league. If you're getting a goal scoring winger playing on the left, who uses his right foot and is still unbelievably technically gifted, you'd be mad not to sign him, in my opinion. Mr. Joseph, will you agree with that?
He ticks every single box, in my opinion. Like, he's a winner already. He's already won Serie A. He fits into the Portuguese speaking group that we have, the Brazilians and Portuguese players that we've got, because he's already a Portuguese international. Like, he is versatile. We know Pep loves a versatile player. He can play through the middle, can play off the left. He's not really played off the right. He probably could, but he's not really done that. He's almost like a Kanji, really, where he's only done it a couple of times. But he is an absolute freak. He is a force of nature. He is 6'2". He's incredibly quick. He's so good on the ball. Like, if I struggle to think of many players in just all around football history who are, of that size, of that stature, so tall, so quick, and so technically able on the ball. Like, his dribbling is insane. It's probably the best thing that he's got going. His speed and his ability to get past players on the ball, like, that's exactly what you want from a winger. Add to the fact that he's 6'2", so he's probably a presence in the box. Like, he's a former number 9, really. He's almost like, I think the player I'd closest describe him to, in terms of, if you haven't watched him a lot, is he's a better Rashford. He's tall, he's quick, but he can get past people. I need to watch more. I don't really watch too much Serie A, but I think that he's unreal. He's unreal. Again, he's a force of nature. You don't see many players who can do what he does at his size. Like, he's unreal. And again, he can play a couple of different positions, so that also helps and adds to the winning mentality, and he'll already be familiar with some of the players that we've got in the squad, because on the national team. So he ticks every single box. I think it's more to do with the price, and there are other options, maybe cheaper options. Maybe we don't want to go for someone who plays primarily in the front three. Maybe we want to go for, I think the little segue that I think City Extra covered it was like Nkunku or Leao. Nkunku would probably be a bit more of a Pep player. He's a more versatile. He's played as a number 9, left, right, attacking midfield, as a number 8. Like, he could do a lot more than Leao does in terms of positionally, but I don't know whether, Nkunku would obviously fit better, because Pep loves his midfielders in the wide areas. Look at Grealish, look at Foden, he's putting Palmer, just to name a few. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see where this one goes. Like, I think it was before we started the stream, I remember, I think it was Dan was saying that we should go for Leao instead of Bellingham because he'd be a better fit. And I don't know about that one, to be honest, but like it's not a bad shout. I guess I think it all depends on where Pep views the future position of Grealish and Foden. If he thinks that they are both midfielders, or one of them is a midfielder come the future, then we might sign a player to go in the front line instead, like a Leao. So I think there's many things. I don't think there's any real concrete rumours. Like, there's a lot of, City are interested. He's a good player. Like, we appreciate, like, he's a good player. I don't think it's picked up any steam yet. But there's one that I'm keeping my eye on because I like him a lot, and I just think, again, he's a force of nature. Like, he's like a once in a blue moon player, if you pardon the pun.
Fantastic.
You are?
He's a once in a blue moon player, if you pardon the pun.
Okay, I see. City,
And
Blue
on
Moon.
that note,
No, I'm with you. No, I'm still stuck on the whole 6'2" winger thing here for a sec. This guy, a winger at 6'2", that's pretty fucking crazy. Dennis says he's like a discount version of Madrid Ronaldo. That's still a pretty good player if you ask me. Glennon says he's good. Rust says replace Grealish and play him in midfield instead if he doesn't leave. I think that's the question: is where do you fit Leao in? Obviously, we're quite winger heavy right now, aren't we? We've got quite a few wingers. I think the way you Bin Mara, is that recency bias though?
There was a rumour of a player plus cash swap, even though Mahrez has said he wants to finish his career. There was like small little rumours of a player plus cash swap for Leao. It genuinely just depends on how Pep views his squad. Like, if he thinks we don't need a player to fit in the front three, like if the future of Foden is on the right and Grealish is going to continue playing on the left, then Bellingham and maybe another midfielder. But if he thinks that Grealish can drop back into the midfield, then Leao is like a perfect replacement, because we constantly go on about Grealish not getting, he plays well, but he doesn't really get too many goal involvements. Like, Leao can get you those goal involvements.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, I suppose. I just think with Grealish, we're starting to slowly see him flourish on the left, and something I've pushed for and had a firm stance on for a while now, even when he was injured, is that I believe Grealish, Haaland and Foden is the best front three we can have. But I don't know, is it worth taking Grealish out of that left wing position, which he's been trying to adapt to for so long, and moving him into midfield where we believe he's more comfortable? But will he be more comfortable? Will he be an upgrade or a downgrade on what we already have there? Because bear in mind, our midfield it's the best in the world when you have Bernardo De Bruyne and Rodri, or Gundo De Bruyne and Rodri. So is Grealish going to be an improvement in that? I don't know, but from what people are saying about this Leao guy, I mean, I guess I'd be open to it. But you kind of mentioned the price tag there. What do you reckon, Joe, is the range Milan will be looking for him? Do we know anything about his contract situation?
Well, just to give you a little lowdown here, he's got a contract that expires in a year, I think 2024, but his market value is 63 million. Like, he is going to cost. And I think there's there's more rumours about possible contract extension as well, so he could cost you a lot of money. I think that's the main thing here is cost, which is, I kind of went to that point a little bit before, saying there's probably other options that will do just as good a job, maybe even a better job, because they're more versatile, that are maybe slightly cheaper, like an Nkunku. But like, I love Leao. I can't get past it. But yeah, he's in a similar situation to Bellingham, isn't he? Because Bellingham's only got 2 years left on his contract, but he's also should realistically be costed an arm and a leg.
Yeah. Bellingham will cost a lot of money. Dortmund, the thing with Dortmund, but I know maybe not, because Milan aren't a selling club. Milan aren't the same as Dortmund in the sense that Dortmund know that they're going to lose their best players all the time. Milan will do what they can. They'll run the contract down, even if it means turning down big money. So it's a difficult one. But listen, I think we're going to wrap it up now pretty shortly, because we've kind of covered everything, haven't we? Pep, Bellingham, and Leao was just something we wanted to talk about, because I think there's rumours that City are interested. Nothing concrete, like Joe said. There's nothing serious, but it's nice to speculate during this international break. It's nice to talk about potentials. I think the most concrete thing we've talked about tonight that is most realistic about happening, or most realistically happening, is Pep's contract extension. We think that is going to happen. 3 years, take it up to 10, and then Bellingham is obviously recently. There's been reports that City are very interested in the races between this club and that kind of thing, and then Leao just kind of semi-hypothetical, but we know that City are probably well aware of this guy and keeping tabs on the situation. So listen, I don't know if we'll be back tomorrow or Wednesday, but we'll definitely do a stream the next day or two. There will be a Manchester derby, hopefully with maybe Saeed or a Man United fan. Maybe we'll get another City fan channel on. There'll be collaborations this week of some sort. Plenty of derby talk, plenty of transfer talk as usual, and we look forward to hopefully all of you joining us for all of that content. Honestly, massive week ahead, big game on Sunday, the first big test, and we'll be sure to get into all of that conversation when the time comes. I think we're just one like off 60 likes on the stream. That is absolutely massive. Thank you all so much for liking the stream if you have done so already. If you haven't done, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, share it around, tell a friend to check out the channel and subscribe to us. We're on the road to 4K, and yeah, we'll see you later on. Good night and God bless. Wrap her up, Joe.